Hey dog people, if your business has been feeling heavier than it should, not broken, just out of sync, I created a resource just for this kind of season. It's called Bloom Your Dog Biz From Within, an 8-part audio series plus 2 bonus episodes and a journal designed to help you grow your dog biz in a way that's aligned, sustainable, and actually feels like you. We dive into things like setting boundaries without guilt, navigating tricky client moments, untangling your work from your self-worth, and redefining success through your own values. You can start listening today at www.thedogbiznerd.com/bloom or by clicking the link in the show notes. Welcome to Dog Training Bytes, the show where canine professionals share their key takeaways, big aha moments, and hardest lessons learned from working with dogs. I'm Mattison, certified dog trainer and behavior consultant, and dogs are my life. Every day I get to coach guardians and other trainers into a deeper understanding of canine behavior. But let's face it, sometimes dog training really bites. And that's okay, because when it does, we learn a lot. This podcast is all about sharing the lessons learned from experience, because the stories of when it got tough or when we made a mistake, that's when we learn the lessons worth learning. And it's time we share those with the world. I'll be talking to dog trainers and other pet professionals about times that working with dogs, well, bit. Not literally. Maybe literally. What's most important here on this show, what did they walk away with? What did they learn? How did it shape their approach today? Welcome to Dog Training Bytes, the show where pet professionals share personal lessons that you won't find in any textbook. Today, I'm speaking with Robyn Anne. Robyn is the founder of Paws Flaws Dog Training, offering in-person training in Bangkok and virtual support worldwide. A Level 4 PETbc Accredited Trainer, CPD Advanced Canine Behavior Diploma holder, and fear-free certified professional, she specializes in helping anxious and fearful dogs build confidence while guiding their guardians in fostering trust and understanding. Robyn takes a holistic approach, integrating emotional well-being, routines, and overall health into personalized training plans. Through Paws and Flaws, she also works with Thai shelters to improve adoption rates and canine welfare. Hi, Robyn. Thank you so much for coming on today. I am so excited to chat.
Hello, Mattison. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having me and thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. I didn't ask. I'm going to go a little bit rogue here and ask an off-book question, but where in the UK are you from?
I'm actually Irish, Scottish, but I grew up in Cyprus.
Okay.
And going backwards and forwards between different countries left me with a neutral-ish accent.
Neutral-ish. Love that.
Yeah. Before living in Thailand, I lived in the Midlands in England and worked in London. But yeah, and essentially I'm from Paphos in Cyprus. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Let's dive into your dog. Dog. How many dogs do we have?
So I officially have one. His name is Gizmo, like the gremlin in the 80s movie.
Yes, that's a great name.
Apparently he looked like that when he was a puppy. So yeah, that's the people that found him named him Gizmo. And I have him, but I have a couple that stay at my house every so often, either fosters or friends' dogs or clients' dogs. They just come and go. So it's a bit of a sometimes 5, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. Yeah.
So a full household.
Yeah, it is great. So Gizmo, I have one. He's a boy. He's a Thai dog from Krabi in Thailand, from a little village as such. And yeah, he was a stray dog dumped at a temple in lockdown. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And if you had to describe Gizmo's personality in 3 words or less, how would you describe him?
He is goofy, a big softy. That's one word. Goofy, a big softy, and hyper intelligent.
Ooh, that's a good combination.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Robyn, I am very excited to hear the story that you brought for us today.
Super, thank you. Yeah, the story of my aha moment.
The big light bulb moment.
The light bulb moment. So I've gone through it's been a while since I've been working with dogs, but when did you officially start? Who knows? And when I first got into training, essentially, I went down the obedience route and a bit more that way. That's all I was shown and knew of. But the dogs that brought me into my training world were two Thai dogs that I got 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. And I took them from Thailand to the UK, and I was 24 on my own, living on my own in a house with these Thai dogs. One was Rogue from the jungle, the other was a stray dog on the beach for 5 to 7 years stray, and then the other was 2 years. So I had these feral dogs, and I was trying to apply obedience. And I always worked in shelters my whole life since a child as just my hobby on the side of school. And I thought I knew dogs. And it was these dogs that started to fight a year and a half after having them. Everything seemed to be going well, so I thought. And they were fighting. And I didn't know why. And I got all these trainers, I paid for all the professionals and everything, and no one knew what to do. They just told me my dogs were too feral. Anyway, that then sent me going on a mission. I had to rehome one eventually because I didn't know what to do. I rehomed one, and it was honestly the hardest thing ever, picking which one. And I work in rescue, I work in shelters. I know the shelters are too full as they are, so I didn't want to be taking space from another. Anyway, it happened, and that's what happened. So forward on until the death of my dog that I kept, Frankie. He passed away 5 years ago last week. And Frankie actually was the aha moment. And then I forgot about that. And then I had the aha moment again in Thailand with a client's dog that reminded me of Frankie. So just when you think you've remembered and learned your lesson,
no.
you get sent
If
it
it
again.
slides away, the universe is gonna put it right back in front of you to learn it again.
Definitely. I think if it was a wet fish being slapped in the face, that's what would be happening. When Frankie passed away, I thought I'd learn and I thought I could see the signs and everything. I started to read some dog training bits here and there, and I'm not a good reader and I learn quite slow. I'm pretty hands-on learner. So I had to come over those hurdles along the way when I got more into the theory outside of the practical. And then when Frankie passed, I came to Thailand. I got stuck in lockdown in Thailand as I came after Frankie's death and went to the shelter he was from. And as I was volunteering there, the obedience wasn't clicking. And it was, but it wasn't. And then I started to work with some clients, and yes, we had a lot of wins and successes with the pedigrees, with some of the dogs that weren't as sensitive or hypervigilant, or their prey drives weren't as high, and so on. It worked. We did well. We had wins. And then I started to take on some severe cases of ex-street dogs, Thai dogs, free roaming dogs, who may have been on the streets for a long time, from the jungle, or had some sort of deep trauma. And we were doing good. And it wasn't until I got my current dog, Gizmo. And as he got older, things started to happen. And I was like, what am I doing here? What's wrong? And then Frankie's anniversary came round and I had a dream. And Frankie was just running free. Everything was easy and fluid. He was digging in the fields, running around. There wasn't a lot of structure or obedience, but we had trust. His natural needs were met every single day because I lived in a village in England and a countryside. His routine was pretty solid. His food and health was good. There was a lot of love and he felt safe. And it was that combined with a client I was working with and my current dog. And I just looked back and I was like, what am I missing? Yes, they can do the tricks. Yes, they can be good in session. Yes, they can show up when needed and so on if we need to in a certain situation, lay down in a cafe or be in the car and so on. But there was still underlying anxiety, fear, and aggression coming out in certain situations. They weren't trusting their human. They were getting super emotional and couldn't decompress themselves without being helped by the human. And then I remember Frankie on his anniversary, and I just thought, how was that relationship? Because Frankie and me were very good. It was the issue with the other dog, and that was something separate. But Frankie as himself, one-on-one, not an issue. But yet all these dogs I was working with one-on-one were not great at the time. And then I looked at my boy, who's sensitive, goofy, and hyper-intelligent. And I went, my routine is everywhere. I'm going around, driving around Bangkok, fulfilling everyone else's dog's needs and human needs. And my time and consistency with my own dog was gone.
Yeah.
His food was as and when. His sleep schedule was as and when, because I was, after lockdown, surviving in lockdown as a dog trainer, trying to take on clients.
Yeah.
And my clients in Bangkok are the same. They're busy business people in one of the biggest cities, busy. Bangkok's crazy if you've ever been. And they're just trying to get by and survive. So I was doing the same as my clients. I could relate to them. That's why they hired me. But I wasn't doing the same as what was working for what the dog's natural needs needed. They
Yeah.
needed that routine, that consistency, their natural needs met for the dog that was in front of me. And actually, we were doing things harder than what was needed. I was giving them more than what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And it was when I started to take off things and do less in my own personal life and look back of what my relationship was like with Frankie and compare it. And I've had other dogs since, but Frankie and Gizmo stand out. And the difference in them, and we know they're different, but this is quite vast. I'm different. I was more anxious in lockdown, as were many. I've never been an anxious person before until lockdown. I was emotionally unstable here on my own in Thailand. So were my clients. So are these busy professionals. So in answer to your question, Mattison, sorry, long way around, I learned from reflection of a dog that was content and happy and everything going on there to a dog that was untrusting, on edge, didn't feel like I was predictable to him. And my clients' dogs were experiencing the same thing. And I was looking too much at the dog and the training plan. I wasn't looking at the bigger picture and actually what does the dog need, not what do we think they need just to get by.
Or what do we need the dog to do?
What do we need the dog to do? Yes.
Yeah.
So it was this dog called Rizal, my dog called Gizmo, and Frankie combined. And Rizal is a Thai dog, been to many trainers before me, had all the methods applied to him that has unfortunately shut him down and made him very reactive. And he's a Thai dog that needs space and trust and time. For those of you who don't know, Thai dogs, they're very close to the natural dog. Their prey drive is high. The ability to defend and protect themselves is very high. They don't trust very easily. They're not really big on affection. So they're a bit more feral than a lot of other.
But like you said, that routine, that
Routine.
predictability and consistency, that is
Yes.
so important to them.
Yes, they were always in fight or flight because that's what they would have done. And genetically, that's also carried through. And there's such a backlog of dogs from lockdown here and free roaming dogs that have gave puppies through lockdown, and it's passed down through the genes also. This heightened fear and anxiety that's coming around here. Anyway, so Rizal had came to me and the owners were stressed. He was stressed. The owners were anxious and hiding around every corner and jolting at every sign of something that moved. He was doing the same. And then they were all over the place with their routine. So my aha moment in this particular month, which was a reflection month around Frankie's death, was keep it simple. Come back to basics. Slow down. Are you resting? This is for humans and people because I work equally with the humans and the dogs. Slow down. Are you resting? Are you giving yourself time? How is your rest? What is your relationship? Are you having joy? Are you having play?
Joy.
Are you
It's so important.
joy?
And when it's missing, you can feel it.
Yeah, but people try to force joy that I've seen here when they start to think about play and they might wave a toy in a dog's face. And the particular dogs I work with are quite severely anxious, fearful. So that's very intimidating to them. So then the joy is overforced. And it's no, we need joy in the simple moments, which might just mean going for a country walk somewhere. You've got to find countryside in Thailand, but in Bangkok, but going for a nature walk somewhere at off-peak time and just letting your dog free roam a little bit on a long line. Mm-hmm. Don't ask them for anything. And I never asked Frankie for anything. Yes, I missed the resource guarding signs, which is why they were fighting. But now I know those signals. But I think many trainers might be able to relate to this. The more you start to learn, the more you realize what you don't know. But then that can make you hyper vigilant to learning more and overthinking more. And
it's the truth.
It's the truth. And then I feel like we just have to scrap it and just pare it back. What do we need?
Yeah, that's one of my mottos of this year is just less is more. Because I feel like the more is more mentality and messaging has been very strong in the dog industry.
Yeah.
And I think what we need now is less. I think we need to, like you said, scale back in some ways. So if you see somebody struggling with this type of a situation, what would be the first thing that you would have them like give up and let fall away?
I ask the owners to look at their routine. And I say, let's not think about your dog for this week. I'll give them some management strategies for a week. And I say, I want you to focus on yourselves for a week. I want you to go to bed on time. I actually look at their routine. I used to work with health, nutrition, and yoga and wellness previously at the same time at one stage. So I do that in the first week or two. If they're a couple, I ask them to go on a date night. If they're a family, I ask them to go to the park without their dog and enjoy some family time together, just doing silly things with no phones. I really try to go back to basics with the family in the first week, whilst giving them management strategies just to manage the dog so it doesn't get worse. And maybe that might look like taking the dogs off walks for a week in the city here, because there's lots of stray dogs that come around corners that some can be aggressive, some don't care. I look at their area and I say, I know there's a small bit of grass over here. You can get there without any dramas. Let your dog go for pee poo and a sniff there. Here's some games you can play with your dog in the house, and let's look at your routine for a week.
Yeah.
So I start there, and then I just pair it off. And then once I start layering on, once they have got, I actually put some of them on meal plans as well, because their routine is out of everywhere, all over the place. As was mine after lockdown when poor Gizmo had me for the first year. Yeah.
It sounds like an incredibly holistic approach of really helping the humans get to a point where they have what they are trying to give to their dog. Because you really, and this is a quote I'll steal from one of my dearest friends, but you can't give away what you don't have.
100%. And that saying is around a lot, as well as the put your own oxygen mask on and so on. And I feel that a lot of the people I work with, particularly that I've met, are very humble and they just want the best for their dogs, and they don't feel they need any more than what they've got. And I actually have to say, look, you need to give yourself grace. You're trying your hardest with what you currently know. And I'm telling you, no one's got a perfect dog. It doesn't exist.
Nope.
So I always share some struggles with my dog with them in the first week so they can see that everyone's got something going on. And I don't know where this whole our dogs should be robots came from, because we accept it with humans not being perfect.
Media and social media, that's where it came from, was it really created a incorrect public mainstream image of what it is to have a dog, what it is to be a dog. And we are needing some serious shifts, I think, in the way that society views the modern pet dog, if we collectively as humans and collectively as pet dogs want to stop feeling a little bit less frustrated.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, even if you were to shift your mind on that, unless you've got your own nervous system underway, you are still going to be frustrated, even if you know it on a surface level. If you've not got your sleep, I'm big on exercise, sleep, nutrition, joy and play in your own life. And I let that slip for the first time in my life. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't break through with my own dog at one point. I was like, what am I missing? And I was missing looking in the mirror.
Taking care of yourself,
Yeah. And I feel like, yes, we can know on a surface level, put our own needs first. Dogs are not perfect. But what does that mean? Like, I feel that aha moment was when I looked at these busy business professionals in Bangkok and I said, guys, this dog is already in an unnatural environment. It's a hard environment, Bangkok. It's horrendous. It really shouldn't be for pets. But it is now, and it's boomed. So let's work with it. But we need to look after yourself. Yeah. And I feel that people also think back to the dog they had when they were a child. And people also forget that it was a very different time back then. There wasn't as many phones and devices distracting us from our dogs that needed attention. We probably played more with our dogs then.
It was a different time. And I think that we also have a little bit of like kid glasses probably when we're seeing that family dog. Is I remember all of the fun times playing with my family dog. I don't remember any of the work that was put into it. That wasn't my work to be done. And I think that it doesn't look like it does today, but there was still work. There was still training that happened to show a dog how to be a part of a family. And I didn't do that work. So I thought we just had a great dog with no work. And that's not the reality of what happens.
Exactly. And 100%, it's a different time. And so that first week and the first stages is to really give them that talk and say, guys, whatever dog you had before is a different dog. It's a different time. You're doing great with what you're doing. You've reached out for help, and showing the owners that you're doing good with what you've got. Let's now help you move forward with grace and compassion for yourselves and for your dog. Yeah, so that's how that first week goes.
It sounds like this has really impacted the way that you take that first step and set the stage with your clients?
Yes, the thing is, I'm not very great on social media or online, and I'm quite busy in person. So I haven't been able to fully portray everything that I actually do and how sessions look like with me. So I do get phone calls from some people that want quick fixes because it can come across in my messaging sometimes that perhaps it seems easier. But I take those phone calls and I meet them because I know they're the ones that will need the support.
Yeah, they're the ones
um,
that are really suffering and really
yeah,
are desperate for that result.
correct. And yet they say go for your audience and go for people that, but then I'm already preaching to the converted. So I like to make life harder for myself and go for the non-converted because those dogs are going to end up, unfortunately, potentially just being kept inside with that's what happens here. They just stay inside and go on the rooftop for peeing. So I set that first week and say, okay, what holidays have you got planned? What days off do you have? And it's very minimal. These people are always working and also working abroad. So there's dog walkers, nannies, dog nannies, all different languages and cultures in one house. And I really have to get everyone together and be like, we need to come together on this. Let's see what free time we can make. And I try to create it in such a way that sets up their expectations that this is going to take time. We're going to have fun along the way. And I am an open canvas. I want you to tell me things. If you don't like it, tell me. If you're feeling frustrated, tell me. If you hate me, tell me. I can take it.
Yep.
You know?
It's a big ask that we do ask our clients to just be transparent with us, but it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. And when someone says be transparent with me, there's also still a level of resistance and professionalism that they don't want to cross. So I sit on the floor with them,
Right.
take my shoes off, or you've got to take your shoes off here when you go in a house, and just get all cozy and
Just be
playful and
transparent with them. I like to be honest with them
yeah,
and show them that I'm dealing with things with my dog and I'm an
yeah,
imperfect human as well. And like creating
exactly.
space where they feel safe to
Yeah.
be honest in that
Yeah,
way.
exactly, exactly. So whether it's a client that wants a quick fix or someone that's came in there and got a heavy emotion, I've had 5 minute voice notes where someone's just crying because a dog's bit a child. I deal a lot with family cases and the children have got bitten and they're hiding in a corner, the child's hiding in a corner. And it's pretty intense. And so I just have to move things away and say, fundamentals, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, back
And
to basics is one of the best approaches, is really just sticking with those core fundamental lines of communication, creating the predictability. I spend so long on markers. I will spend as long as I need to on a marker system until that is like super locked in. I am with you. I think that
yeah.
a lot of things can fall away to create space for simplicity, for the less
Yeah.
is more.
Yes, and the thing is, also I feel that everyone's a different learner, dogs and people, as we know. And I learn. It takes me quite a while to learn something, and I only learn by making mistakes hands on. And there's a lot more people out there like that, and that I've met in my sessions. So, if there's a family of 10, which sometimes there is in my cases, I deal with multiple households, multiple dogs, multiple nationalities in a house. Some people don't even speak English that I work with.
Right.
So I then have to look at how each person learns and do all that in the first session in some way that they don't realize they're being tested. So
Yeah.
that then going forward, it's such a plan that we can get back to the fundamentals, but what does the fundamentals look like for that individual?
Right.
And then how
Absolutely.
do we get to the dog's fundamentals in all that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Very
it's
unique to each situation.
yeah, and free roaming Thai dogs, dogs that have had to survive on their own for a while, are not made for living in our homes, unfortunately. That's the reality of it. And we're going against a lot of frustrated dogs that just want to be out roaming around. So once I explain that to them in a way that shows that they get more trips to nature and you can go and explore more with your dog because your dog's going to love that. Let's find some cool places near Bangkok that we can explore. Then things come together. Yeah.
It's again, it's like it's a real mindset shift. And especially thinking about an environment like Bangkok. I don't know to the degree to which one is true versus the other, but probably often where somebody is thinking they have a reactive dog, they probably have a natural dog living in a reactive environment in an incredibly reactive city.
Perfectly said. Exactly. That's exactly what they have. Yeah. Yeah.
Robyn, is there anything else that you would like the listeners to know about you or what you do?
Yeah, so I'm new to online. I've got a program coming up soon, which is if you do have a rescue dog from a shelter or an ex-free roaming dog, I'm actually in the process of designing a course, which is going to take people through that course. And 4 weeks, it's going to be from fearing, I believe the title is called Fear from Fearful to Fearing Less.
Love it.
And taking them through the journey of a dog. And you can also have a fearful dog and join on the course, but it's predominantly going to be geared towards dogs that come from shelters or come from ex-free roaming backgrounds and how to navigate through the challenges that can come around. So that's going to be coming out soon.
Is
So,
that, I'm sorry, I have a question about that. Is that geared more towards I'm a guardian, I adopted a dog, we're struggling, we need support, or is this for professionals who want to learn more about taking this approach, or is it for both?
oh, I didn't think about it like that. Both. Everyone's
Okay.
welcome. No
Okay.
problem.
Great.
The
I
more,
was
the
just
more the
thinking,
better.
this would be something that would give me just more variety in the way that I could approach these types of dogs because these cases pop up all over the world.
Yes, definitely. Everyone's welcome. I host a regular event here in Bangkok, and everyone's welcome. Trainers, professionals, day-to-day dog owners, everyone's welcome.
I love that.
But yeah, so that's the one thing that's coming up, which is pretty scary for me. So I'm going to be the model of going from a fearful person of the online world to putting everything I've learned over the past 7 or so years into a 4 week online course that's either guided or you can watch on your own and do on your own. So that's that. And then there will be more content available online as I plan it all in the next month. So yeah, that's the biggest thing is the course. And then the next one is going to be when you first get a dog and you first adopted a dog. This is any dog, just what to do that first week. So it's a mini webinar series on what to do that first week when you first get a dog.
Great. I love that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful resource for, again, people all over the world are, I think, really sitting with a big question mark during those times. So to be able to give them something to guide them through that
Mhm.
period is so important. And I am definitely excited about the learning about the process of helping that particular brand of sensitive dog learn to exist in our world a little bit more peacefully.
Yes, definitely. And I would also like anyone that is listening is to, whatever they're going through, is just remember back to what we said before is really give yourself, look at your fundamentals. Most people don't have them. That sleep, nutrition, exercise, joy, and play. Most people don't have all four. And it's shocking how many don't have even two, let alone four.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look at that first, and then look at that with your dog second. And honestly, if people follow that, anything you're trying to teach your dog, any course, any man trailing or agility or anything you're into, just multiplies.
Absolutely.
But bring it back to basics. I'm
Because
actually
it's
sat on the
all
floor
about
of
that
your
line of communication. Like we have two different species here, and we just need to focus on strengthening that line of communication.
Yes, but you can't do it if you're tired, burnt out, and frustrated.
And if your dog is tired,
Yeah,
burnt out, and frustrated.
exactly. No, that no one can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just less is more for sure, and that might be my biggest aha moment. So thank you for letting me share that.
Of course. And I also think that there's definitely a lesson to be learned as well in the creation of this resource where you said it's a scary process for you. And sometimes we need to not do things and stay away from things that are terrifying and dysregulating. And sometimes we should be building our resilience and increasing our capacity to handle things. And I think that there is a lesson there as well of being able to take that next right step to challenge yourself enough. And it
A
sounds like this
hundred.
course is that for you.
Yeah, and but you definitely. I've been thinking about this course for 2 years now. I actually have a draft model 2 years ago,
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
am. Yeah, I didn't know how to turn the lighting up on my phone until last year. Yeah,
But now you're ready.
I'm a climb the tree type of girl every day. So being on my phone or on the laptop is just paralyzing for me, and let alone all the trolling and everything comes with it, and the dog industry and all of that. And it's scary. I'm here on my own, and my life is dogs, and didn't make time for friends and a partner. And eventually, I'm now trying to do that. And So when you're at a state of your needs are not met and you don't have a support system and everything else that comes with that, definitely that is not the time to build resilience. So you have to build yourself up first: sleep, exercise, routine, diet, joy, social community.
Yeah.
And then you can do what is scary for you. And it's the same with our dogs. We're going to set them up in the way to succeed, and then we build on their resilience.
Once you
So,
feel safe, like
once
you feel safe, you have to be at that point where you feel secure. It's so
yeah.
important. It's required, actually, in order for that to be a capacity building experience.
100%. And also, you're never gonna feel fully secure, and you're never gonna feel fully safe and confident. So it's you. In my eyes, I would say about 80%. You need about 80%, and the other 20% is a kind of okay, let's do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you have that little and you do it anyway, and you get through it. Oh, you're just on to the next thing. It's even better. And your dog feels like that as well when they do something that they didn't think they could do, and you see them after going, I did it.
But there's a lot of work that has to be done ahead of that moment for that moment to be successful.
Correct. And back to the fundamentals. You build yourself up, you build your dog up, and what that specific individual needs from a fundamental point of view, then you can go on that journey. Yeah, that's so we'll see if it gets out this year. Fingers crossed. It's 5th of May.
5th of May. Okay. I'm going to be checking in on that one.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm just not tech savvy, and I'm trying to do it myself so that I can learn at the same time. Yeah.
We'll chat more because I have plenty I can help with in that arena.
Oh, wonderful. And this is another thing as well, like more dog trainers helping and working and sharing information. I feel that would just be so wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can connect with Robyn on Instagram at Paws Flaws Dog Training, and you can find more information and a link to her work in the show notes. Thanks for joining us in the world of Dog Training Bytes, where every challenge brings a lesson worth sinking our teeth into. See you next time. Dog Training Bytes was created, produced, and edited by Mattison Simpson. You can connect with me on Instagram at Dog Training Bytes, that's BYTES, and at Freed by Training. For information on today's guest and resources for help with your dog or dog training education, visit www.dogtrainingbytes.stream. Looking for more? Listen to my other show, Unpacked, a clinical dog training podcast co-hosted by Sailor Jerry the dog trainer and produced by Straight Up Dog Talk LLC.